Yeah, welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight, and as you can see, Trina Phoenix is back, and we are going to talk a little bit about the cosmic wake-up call.
Mm.
It's here,
Mhm.
it's coming, and it's not going away. How we react to that cosmic wake-up call, of course, that is our choice, and we will see about that. Yeah, Trina, welcome back. And Trina, are you a good sleeper?
Yes,
Yes. Mhm.
yes. Uh-huh. Very good sleeper. And thank you for having me. And it is really good to be with you. And I think it's going to be fun talking about the world and the chaos right now we
Mhm.
are experiencing. So thank you for having me. And
Yeah.
we,
Yeah, I asked you if because I'm a very good sleeper as well. Um, the only difference is when there is a full moon, I have a hard time falling asleep. Yeah. And
yeah,
very wild dreams. As a
yes.
child, I was a sleepwalker
Oh,
but only during full moon.
wow.
Yeah, but although everybody, you know, everybody said, oh, it has nothing to do with the moon.
Oh, no, it definitely does. I mean, that's why they call them the lunatics, is because, the lunar powers affect them more strongly. My daughter's a triple moon and I'm a triple fire. So that's an interesting combination. And no, she's very affected by the moon and I'm affected more by the sun. So I think it's kind of true, but we're all affected by both.
Yeah, yeah. And and now we are in a time where we have a lot of solar flares. And, yeah, storms, sunstorms. And I have to say, during uh, like two weeks ago or something like that, my goodness, I didn't get tired at all. I didn't get it. During the day, yeah, I needed to take a nap, but in the evening, and I thought, what is going on? And so, yeah, sometimes I stayed awake until 2 o'clock. And then it dawned on me, and then, oh yeah, the solar flares. And it does affect our entire nervous system, and people react differently to that.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I really think, I mean, it is massive. I mean, the science now that's coming out about the circadian rhythm,
Yeah.
and how when we're seeing too much blue light and, all the different spectrums and the technology, all these things, they're affecting our cells and the way we receive light. So, yeah, there's so much with how light affects us. And that's lunar moonlight as well as sunlight. So that's both. Those are both, connected to different parts of your electrical and alchemical systems of your body. Our hormones go through the lunar properties more than the solar. There's many solar too. Part of that is processing light through the eyes and the skin, but it's the same thing with the lunar. So it's I think the more we can start to understand about how light affects us and how to make sure you try to stay in a rhythm with the light that's going to benefit your body and your mind and your sleep patterns and your hormone productions and all of those things, you're well ahead of the game. But like solar flares coming at us, yeah, get ready for that. But you know what? For myself personally, not giving medical advice, but every time we go through the major solar flares, I don't feel well after. I feel like I've been hit with radiation poisoning. I just don't feel well. And I do activated charcoal, and it seems to really make a big difference.
Hmm. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, because I feel it like it physically can wipe me out. Yeah.
Yeah. I did a little digging what other people are saying about solar flares, and I wrote down one quote, and I'm interested if you would agree with that. It says here the role of photonic energy is to connect us to our deepest wounds, repressed emotions, and desires we have ignored. It forces us to make drastic changes and exit the cycle in which we have been indulged.
I could see that's possible for people who haven't done any of their own inner work. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you don't have any knowledge of trauma that you hold, and if you have no awareness of any of that, that potentially is going to be the first zit to pop. That's going to be the one that's going to hit you. If you haven't done any of your internal work, yeah, that could be a potential. But for like most of the people that listen to you and your community, no, they are so aware of those things that this is information. It literally is, because when you unlock the DNA, you receive images. That's what the photon does. Photo on. I give you a picture. That's why nothing's real till we see it. We snap those molecules into a particular structure based on thought and perception to perceive it, to see it. So we're literally building with our eyes. We're building with our biofield and the energy that's around us, and we have the ability to transform the spirit into matter. That is a beautiful, wonderful, magical thing that we do just as existing as a human being. It's crazy, but photon, photo on. It's the giver of information. It's the giver of the images. Ye are the images of God. That's why, because you can receive the images from the photons that activate the code and the information within the very cells of your body to show you more images and more pictures that go along with that original concept. And that's another thing too. It's really difficult to latch on to higher images if you don't have the ability to expand and not be stuck where you're currently at. You got to be brave enough just to say, show me what's better or greater for the whole. Show me, just show me, and be open to whatever you see. But that is the power of what you have access to. That's why they say the thoughts aren't even in our mind. We're constantly receiving and perceiving information like a big walking antenna. And the antenna is every single cell in your body through your DNA. And then
Mm-hmm.
you also have the skin, you have the fascia, you have the electromagnetic part of you, you've got the energy field. There's so many different ways that you're creating through picking up light, sound, and vibration in this construct. And manifesting is when you have the ability to take a picture and put it into an idea or concept, and then we speak it into existence. So the word creates it because the word, the specific word matches a frequency pattern, and that frequency has the original blueprint for what is needed to complete that task. So the power of these frequency bands that we can lock into will flood you with new information. Information. You're stacking the wave into a particle through the focused thought. And when you put those things into form, they build. So it's beautiful what we can do. And if we could learn the power of what we would do, what we can do, and we do it automatically, you do it whether you want to or not, you're doing it by default. Learn that power, learn how to reconstruct our matter, and we could change the world. I mean, literally, it's not like magic, it's science.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Mhm.
think that those photonic energies could also amplify our cellular memories?
Um, there is no amplification of a cellular memory in my understanding of it,
Okay.
because within the fractal, as a particle of creation, that part that you have inside you is a fractal of the whole. So all universal cosmic construct that you are currently existing in is accessible through your DNA. And I think that's why it is so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to store any of the information, because the part of you that is the particle of creation is when the particle snaps into a wave. And as soon as you connect to the non-locality of your being, you are everything or anywhere you just determine to be with the process of the mental part of your construct.
Mm.
So the potentials are endless. That's why they call it particles and potentials. The part of you I see is the particle. Because when you get out of the non-locality, you snap into a separateness. And that's the illusion that we hold as being separate, but we're truly not. We're all energy and it flows and it moves and it's constantly. That's why I say, well, what is God? What does God look like? What is God? You could never define something that never holds form. So if you have a name or a picture or a shape or a dude on a throne, that's an image of creation, but that ain't it.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I think even the entire discussion, is it male or female, is to me, yeah, is redundant. I don't think we can put these, determinations on what is God. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think that
I
male
like the,
female is.
God reminds me of like gods, things that people have worshiped, the idols on this planet that they've seen. So it's like so hard to get away from the word God. But when I say God, I literally mean like source of all that is, which is a mental construct of consciousness and it has no form and it's filled with light. That's the photon part. That's why they say ye are images of, because we're able to capture the pictures or activate the pictures in your own DNA from that frequency sent from light. And that can be dark light or white light. There's both.
Mhm.
So darkness is womb, the womb of creation. Darkness can be evil, but it can also be the most beautiful, purest place to start creating from. Because when you think about it, your mind in your head, your brain is sitting in darkness. Your heart is sitting in darkness. The womb of the female is sitting in darkness. So darkness is both. It is both negative and it is both the most powerful start to create. It's the power point, because out of the nothing came everything. And
Yeah,
that's womb energy, dark matter.
yeah. The darkness is also fertility. You cannot put the seeds just willy-nilly
It's
on the
got to go in the
field.
soil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And talking about light, that reminds me, recently I read an article here in a German publication, and scientists have now, I don't know, I guess they used special cameras, but they have proven that the moment somebody dies, a light goes out, and they have photographed that entire procedure, first in the dying process, and you can see on these images that the light fades away, and then after death, there was only one little spot left, and that went out as well.
And apparently, too, it's measurable by
Mhm.
about 4 ounces. So, yeah, I've seen that. And I've seen captures of souls leaving the body. And it's amazing because sometimes they look just like the human that they're walking out of, like a copy of it. And then other times it's like a mist.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we do not only have the solar flares. I mean, when I look at it and then I look what is going on in the world, my goodness. But then we have Pluto in Aquarius. Uranus will settle in Gemini, which is a total disruptor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Uranus stands for death and rebirth, total transformation. And then Uranus in Gemini, that means new technologies, especially in communication,
Mm-hmm.
even education.
Mm-hmm.
It might be that we move away from the, education system as we know it now, and we embark on a more personalized education. Not everybody is born to be a physicist. Not everybody is born to be a doctor. Yeah. And I'm not saying it will be that way, but it is in the cards. What we do with that energy, yeah, we will see.
I think you're spot on with that. I am starting to see that go all over. That is coming up. A lot of people are pulling their kids and starting to do homeschooling and getting groups of moms together. And yeah, they're everybody's talking about the education system, how it has just failed us. I mean, it really truly has. And especially when you compare our kids to like the ones over in China and stuff. We are so far behind. And, that's done on purpose. There's no reason that we shouldn't be educating our children just as good and as well. And for whatever reason, that's not happening. So a lot of people are starting to pay attention to that. And that's what's going to create change is change is created always from one thing, necessity.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and Pluto in Aquarius also will bring a lot of new technologies with it. And although I'm not particularly fond of it, but I guess anything that can be digitized will be digitized.
Yeah, but I do hope that maybe there's a pushback on that because, people that have built these new technologies are now a little bit nervous. We've got issues with them not shutting down and they're starting to get feisty. And, maybe, they've always talked about, the potential for, power outages and these things. It's like, I know that would be really, really hard, but what if that was what was the saving grace for us to save the planet until we can find out how to learn slowly and properly with these new technologies so they don't cause harm to the planet or humanity?
Mhm.
Because I think this is definitely part of what we're going to be going into. And I also know too, it's like the danger point. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
kind of like we didn't seem to have any kind of alien interference or anything until we let off the first nuclear bomb. And as soon as we did that, they were like, uh-oh, kids are now playing with toys they shouldn't be playing with. Now we'll intervene. So it seems to me we might be at another one of those stages where either things are going to really slow down or there's going to be some type of intervention. And either way around that, it could be challenging.
But when you look at pictures um, that were painted during the Renaissance, you will find a lot of UFOs on these pictures. So it cannot be that it was just after the first atom bomb.
That's what I'm telling you. I think they come when things get really potentially bad.
Okay.
That's when they that's when they'll show up and that's like the sign. It's like, oh God, things are bad. And we've got orbs flying around and things coming out of the ocean. They're showing up here too now. So this is a sign to me. This happens before we go through a renaissance, a revolution. And look at right now. We've never been in this alignment that we're in right now since 1776.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're spot on, Judith. I mean, that is exactly right with what I'm seeing too. You're spot on with that. There is something monumentally significant to the presence of seeing these, whatever they are. So when they start showing up again, it always seems, think about it too, even the old biblical pictures, man, you see them all over with Mary and Jesus and everything.
Yeah.
They're all over the place. There's UFOs everywhere. So it seems like when there's big time stuff happening on the planet, we start having some type of interaction with these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
And
looks like that's now.
yeah, it's the weirdest of times, but it's also a very interesting time. It's
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And I think we're getting ready to enter into some difficult times. I feel Oh, there is, and it's already happening. My gosh, so many people are already experiencing it. And this is kind of what I saw for years was you would see things in pockets. It wouldn't be everything all at once. It's going to be pockets.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Countries.
I
Yeah.
mean, you cannot do it to a point where, everybody is shutting mentally down.
Yeah, I'm seeing that kind of happen, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah. It's almost like they can sense something's getting ready to happen. So they're like trying so hard to say, no, my world will not change. There's this, I feel this like I'm holding on to where I'm at with dear life because I have a feeling what is coming. It might be scary because I don't know what that is, but there's a deep internal feeling stirring in humanity. And I'm seeing that too.
Mm.
Hmm.
What we also see is increased volcano activity with heavy solar flares. And yeah, Etna here in
Italy.
Italy was
Mhm.
active, and a lot of volcanoes are coming online now. And so volcanoes are actually, the geological architects of Earth because 80% of Earth's surface is due to volcanic activity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that means that the earth is expanding.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to be rocky. And I think that there's cyclical cycles that we go through where these things do happen and the earth kind of re-terraforms herself a little bit for the new energy of the new light, which is the new logos of the new age of Aquarius.
Mhm. Yeah.
New code, new light, new land, lots of new, lots of new. But usually when the new, there's a washing away of a lot of the old. So we're going to be in this transfer process for a very long time. The Aquarian age is over 2,000 years. So you know what I mean? This is a very long process going through an age. But yeah, we're starting to see the energy beginning to come in. Sorry, I do have a landscaper, so we may hear a little buzzing. Let me know if it gets horrible.
A landscape?
Yeah, somebody's doing my yard out there with a machine. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Yeah, so I had an interview on Sunday with Anna Reitort, and we talked about, you remember when we did the show about the bifurcation of Earth? Yeah, and Anna mentioned during the interview on Sunday that because I said, yeah, there has to come a point where, those people who are still completely sleepwalking, yeah, and then those who at least have a clue what's going on and who have worked on themselves and so on. There will come a point when these two groups can no longer share the same place. And Anna said, yes, absolutely. That point will come. And she said, I don't know how it's going to play out. She didn't go to the literal bifurcation of Earth. She said maybe it will be even a trifurcation, or some people will be very happy in their 15-minute smart cities. And then you will have an area where people live completely differently. So I don't know.
That's what kind of what I was seeing that it's going to be going. Many, many years ago, I was starting to receive information about this, but I didn't have language for it yet. Because I see things in pictures, images, metaphor, typically metaphor. So to figure out metaphor sometimes is kind of tricky, especially with a concept. I never knew anything about bifurcation or none of this stuff. I didn't know what that was. So what I was being shown was that the earth was going to be rearranged, and they showed me like the zodiac wheel with a central point and then the 12 houses spiraling out, and then they showed it spinning really 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 fast, and like the earth was in the center and it was shooting out parts of itself in all the houses. It was like rearranging the energies of the planet into 12 new realities existing from the spin, and the spin was the separating, and the differences of the energies were based on what your soul was trying to learn. So you would either go into the technological, into the organic. Yours was to experience this. So there was options through this bifurcation,
Hmm.
which is a splitting of life based on you're shifting your frequencies and you're going to go into your new house of resonance.
Hmm.
So that was what I was seeing. So it's in alignment with kind of what she's saying. And that was another thing. I saw these major bifurcations happening in pockets. Like that's
That
what these
noise is
earthquakes
that.
are and the hurricanes. And when people are getting wiped out real quick, real fast, war. I was seeing that was another way people were going into their new houses.
Mm.
Yeah, it's
Trina, do you
interesting.
think there is a possibility to shut down that noise? It's really annoying here on my end.
Okay. Hold on a second.
Yeah, sure.
I'm like, they can't hear me.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
better.
yeah, so you would rule out that it will hit a point where it is either total transformation or self-destruction?
Oh, see, now there's the tricky part. I,
Mm.
I've seen I've seen that certain people on their new projection from where their resonant field goes, they're going to go down those timelines.
Hmm.
So there will be some that experience complete utter destruction. There will be some that seem like they go through the whole thing unscathed, like they don't even have a major awareness of the transition. They're already sitting in a higher vibration to where they're just going to kind of scoot right through it. I see people kind of in the middle where they're going to see problems and destruction, but they're going to make it through it. I see so many potentials, and I think it's based on where does your soul want you to learn? What experiences did you come here to go through? So, and you can change that based on seeing a different vision, seeing a different, that is how powerful we are. So that's why it's very important, what you put in your eyes, what you listen to, and I know we have to be aware of what's happening on the world. But when I look at, say, okay, I can see this potential problem, I can see this, like if you see war, I focus on that area, seeing peace.
Hmm.
All those little differences do make a difference in how things happen. But I do think a lot of people will experience, the people that didn't make it through the bad hurricane that we had in North Carolina. A lot of people lost their lives, and that was so tragic. But see, they're already to their new house. They're already in their new home.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes they say they take the good ones first, Judith, so they might be in a really good place right now.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Um,
yep, yep.
so I will not comment on that. Yeah, Mickey Mouse. Hmm. I have another one now.
Uh-huh.
Not.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She always has to be on the show. So,
every time I love it. I love seeing her presence. I'm like, hi, baby. So pretty.
Yeah, she will calm down in a minute.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mm, as I said before we started recording, I see signs of, this. I don't really like the word revolution because
Mhm.
that means
Yes,
end up
right.
where you started. Yeah.
Yes, we're
But
same place, right.
yeah, but for lack of a better term, I will use it now. And I already see, aspects of revolutionary energies. Yeah. Is
Yeah.
And I think that I'm not saying nothing will happen here in the West.
Mm-mm.
That is not what I'm saying. But I think one of the biggest shifts will happen in Africa. I'm 100% sure of it.
You know, I have had a strong sense Africa was going to be a big part of the new foundations. I think you're right with that, Judith. I do. I think you might be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is, hardly anybody in the West has Africa on their radar.
You know what's funny? Like I said, I think it's about resonance. You know, that's one of the only local like news things I listen to is out of Africa.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but I've always been interested in what was happening in Africa. Like I said, for some reason, I think you're right. There's something I've always been drawn to pay attention to Africa. So it was something, you're right. I don't know what it is quite, but I think you're right.
Mm.
Hmm.
But, as usual, all of these energies, all these events have a potential for horrible things and for wonderful things. And why do I say that? I can understand that, you know, so-called democracy hasn't served Africans very well. A huge majority is still, living without electricity, without running water, and it's 2025.
Yes,
Yeah. So, okay, I can understand they are fed up. And yeah, 70% of the African continent are younger than 35 years.
that's amazing.
Yeah. And those
And
people,
that means that they don't live a long life.
what do you mean? No, it's because they have so many. No, the West is
Young
getting,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, but do they have a lot of elderly people?
Yes, they have,
Oh, okay.
it's just, we are getting older and older here as a society as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because we do not get a lot of children, and that is completely different in Africa. And that is why you have now 70% of the entire population is younger than 35 years. Yeah.
See,
And
and that's what you need for a good, healthy, growing society. And yeah, they've got that too. We're having birth rate decline and they are having no problems. So that's amazing. That's a lot. Wow.
yeah. And yes, everybody in Africa is you know, the eyes are on Burkina Faso because everybody loves Ibrahim Traore. They love what he's doing in his country. They do understand what the World Bank is doing, what the IMF is doing. They understand all these mechanisms that yes, they do have elections, and yes, they have so-called democracy, but at the end of the day, they are under neocolonialism of the multinationals that are exploiting their minerals and what have you. And what I found a little bit irritating, not irritating, but there is a certain danger in it. I do understand that so-called democracy hasn't served them well, but now I can see a tendency where people are more excited about military coups than elections. Yeah. Um,
Mm.
and yes, if somebody like Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso arises out of that military coup, it can be very beneficial, of course. And then that opens up the can of worms. Is democracy really the be all end all? Yeah. And but it can go either way. Yeah. It can also happen that, yes, you have a military coup, everybody is excited, and then nothing changes except that now you are under military rule and maybe even a very brutal one. And but you haven't gained anything. I think we need to acknowledge it really depends on what type of personalities are arising out of those events.
Yes, yes. Like I said, the things that he was doing that you were talking about, like taking all the money and buying tractors and giving them to the farmers. He was coming up with real solutions for
Yeah,
the needs of his people, water solutions, farming solutions. And I loved when you mentioned that he said, you know, the first part about becoming self-reliant and being able to make any difference in the world is taking control back over your own food.
yeah,
And boy, he is spot on. I love what you were sharing about what he's been doing for the people of Africa. That is hope. That is hope, and that is something that I wish a lot of people would actually be looking at. Because, like you said, not enough people are seeing. But these are the only kind of foundations that I see that are going to actually help.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
his attitude is as long as we do not have food independence, let's not even talk about independence.
correct. And he's right. He's absolutely right. Yeah, I was like, when you were telling me about the things he was doing, I was like, wow, those are real solutions.
Yeah.
They're
And
real solutions.
and it's actually not that hard. It's just, there has to be a political will. That if you have a leader who has a clear focus on, okay, what is needed here is this, that, and the other, you know, devoid of ideology. Because what I see, especially here, Germany, Europe, is that this green woke ideology is throwing out one obstacle after the other. It's completely bizarre. There are no solutions, and
Yeah.
everything gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are starting to realize that because when you look at the things that they're promoting and the solutions that they're promoting, this doesn't make any sense for anybody with any kind of science to say that this is going to help the problem. It's not. All the carbon reduction they want to get rid of, well, everything that they proposed literally would take probably 10 years for them to get rid of just the action that the last volcanoes have done over the past 24 months.
Yes.
So nothing even makes sense. It's like it literally doesn't make sense. If it made sense, I think way more people would be on board. But cow farts and, you know, covering up the sun with chemicals and different things to, to keep global warming down, none of this is making sense. And now we're looking at what's going on with the all of the poisons in the soil. I mean, we're dealing with these contaminants and these overloads that we've never seen before. We've got the biggest bee die off that we've ever had in our, I don't know that we've ever had a recording as high as that. So we're in some serious trouble. And the people that are doing this, what they're doing isn't seeming to help, it's seeming to actually make things worse.
Yeah. And if you have a leader, yeah, that really is completely devoid of all these ideological obstacles, yeah, then you can do a lot of things in a relatively short amount of time. I mean, it has been only 3 years that Traore is in office, but already people are completely in love with him, you know. And the thing is, um, you know how I hate savior programs. Yeah. Um, and for the people in Africa, he has become this messianic figure. But it's not his fault. It's just that for the first time, you know, they see what is possible. You're muted.
I got it. Yeah. That's the difference, Judith. They have hope. See,
Yeah.
they finally can see a solution. See, it's about what the images that we can hold in our mind. But if you've never been allowed to have running water and electricity and you've lived 40 years of your life in that reality, how hard would that be to shift your perspective to think that actually everybody you know is going to get power and electricity? That would be mind shattering. So I'm glad these things don't happen all at once because it would collectively shock the majority. But this is the thing. I've been looking at this since I was probably about 5 years old. Never in my life have I ever been able to understand why every single person in this world doesn't have shelter, running water, electricity, and a means to get out and connect to the world to make products and do things. Why is it that we have to pay to exist on a planet we were born onto? This is the kind of global realization that I want the world to see. It's like, why have we allowed this? There's no reason Africa shouldn't have power everywhere, just like every other continent. That's been done on purpose.
Yeah.
It's done by the people controlling the people of that land. So to for a revolution to break out there first, Judith, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And but I think so, from what I can see, of course, I'm not there, but you know, when the people came out in support of Burkina Faso after General Langley lied in the US Senate about Ibrahim Traore and Burkina Faso, and there was this huge march all over the world, hands off Burkina Faso. Um, what I found interesting, and I think that was a very smart move. In Burkina Faso itself, of course, there were, I don't know, so many people, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But he stayed out of the public eye that day. He didn't appear. He did not bathe in this adoration of the people. The prime minister came out. He addressed the crowd in the stadium, but he himself, he stayed away from it. And I think it was a smart move because this, you know, this people have this, you know, and I do understand to a certain extent because if you have been in misery for such a long time, and then there is somebody and shows you another way, people have a tendency to idolize people. Yeah. And that puts an extra burden on him. Yeah. And so I thought that was a smart,
Savior program, like you said,
yeah,
Judith, that's a real serious thing. And I'm glad that he's not supporting that because the only way we will evolve through these transitions is to start becoming more self responsible and self reliable. These are the key elements to this new shift. And if you that is so important. And to the Savior programs, man, that has been, I think, the downfall of humanity for hundreds of thousands of years.
yeah, yeah. Um, so what I found it also interesting, the government in Burkina Faso has now made education free, including the university. Yeah. And so, but they have made a compulsory patriotic year. Does not mean you have to join the military. What it means is you, as a student, once you are finished, um, he, of course, is supporting that students should take a keen interest in agriculture. Yeah, so he is promoting that, or you can do something else. It doesn't matter. But you give 1 year back to society. And honestly, you know, if I had to choose between a patriotic year and being in debt for years to come, I would choose the year.
I would too. Like, no, no, absolutely 100%. That
Yeah.
would be my choice. See, those are the things. Learning how to trade energy,
Mm.
will educate you, but then you're going to be of service for a year to repay that energy that we gave to you. You're going to pay that back with your hard work and your energy. That's how I think the world was intended to operate on a more organic level. I really do. I think that was kind of barter trade. I give you energy, you give me energy. There's a fair exchange and everybody works together. And it's a beautiful thing and nobody goes without because everybody finds how they can contribute.
Yeah. And as I said, although they had independence since the 60s, only 3,000 kilometers of paved roads were in the country. And now government is building 5,000 kilometers per year. And that was an interesting development as well. He approached the companies, yeah, because infrastructure, of course, if you want to build up your country from scratch, you have to have an infrastructure. So he approached the companies and then he found out that those companies building the roads were asking double the amount of money that they would charge in the West. And then he said, "This is stupid. This is not how we are going to do this." So, what he did, he brought in, all the vehicles, everything that was needed for building roads. And then the students again were educated in how to build roads, and now they are building 5,000 kilometers of roads each year themselves.
See what happens when people actually get together and plan and work and they exclude the government. I bet you it costs them not even a tenth of what they would have had to pay the government to install it. But the government wants to control it through permits,
Yeah.
regulations, and control. And they're not utilizing things that are safe, cost effective. Like I said, people are starting to realize that we have way better ideas than they do.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the Kickstarter that's going to do it. And they just got all that freeway put in a short amount of time for a tenth of the cost. Guess what's going to happen now? There's going to be a lot more streets going in, a lot more. And guess what that's going to do? Then that's going to give money because everything's going to improve when you have the ability to transfer goods from one place to another. That starts to stimulate the economy. Those are all jobs for all those people putting in those streets. This is how it starts. And you get the power back into the hands of the people because right now, what we've got going on is just absolutely lunacy. It's cray town. I mean, we've never seen such bad decisions for our health, for our soil, for our and they want to go crazy with all this new technology with no regards to what this is going to do to our water. They're saying, oh, we're going to face a drought. Well, if you take all this water from people for data mining to
Mhm.
control people, yeah, you bet we're going to have a water problem. But the water problem isn't the problem of the people. It's the problem of the people who want to utilize all of our water for their benefit and profit while it does nothing but harm the people. Nothing makes sense anymore. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't. I'm like, if I wish I could see logic or good ideas coming from leadership, and I just haven't been seeing it. It is utter frustrating. And I think so many people now are starting to feel the same frustration. And I think that's what you're talking about, Judah, seeing the revolutionary spirit getting stirred up. Well, you push people into positions like this, they do start to get creative because that is the one beautiful gift we hold as humanity. We adapt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, we also adapt to the bad. Yeah, as you said,
absolutely.
when you
Uh,
have been living for 40 years without running water and electricity,
yeah,
it's normal to you.
yeah. That's the importance about the light, because the light is the images, the
Mhm.
photos that you see in your mind, what you hold in your essence of creation. Like I said, the better we can imagine these solutions, the tractors coming, the new ground, the new roads, and we're doing it, not these big corporations. The people are coming together, funding their own things by their own means, their own energy, their own trade, their own barter, starting to build because my dream is that not one single child on this planet ever doesn't have a bed to sleep in, a safe place to sleep in, water, electricity, and food. That's not asking for a mansion or a Lamborghini or anything like that. Basic needs for every human on this planet.
Yeah,
I think that is the most beautiful goal we could have as a planet because there's no reason for it not to be that way.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so now he is also working on healthcare. In Burkina Faso now, there I don't know the number. I'm not quite sure. Was it 50? It doesn't matter. Anyway, mobile clinics into the rural areas so that where they can also perform surgeries so that people who live in very remote areas do not have to worry how where do I go now? How do I get there? And on it goes. Somewhere there will be a mobile clinic.
I think this is, like I said, this is part of how like the people that don't want to go down the complete technology overtake timelines, the ones that want to go the more organic, the more reconnecting back to the old ways, the old medicine, and not to stay in the old. It's just to integrate advance it with technology, but also supporting and honoring and remembering the importance of our roots and our nature and our foundations, So with that, this is what I see, because people, they think, oh, we have to build these hospitals and all this stuff. No, that's only because of the regulations and the term that when they bring you into those places, you're under federal jurisdiction. These are all traps that we've been placed in and cages that we didn't even know existed.
Mm.
So when you start to see the mobile surgery centers, which have been in existence since the World Wars, they've always existed. They've had to do surgeries right there on the battlefield to clamp off and seal up and, shut it till you can get them to a better place to do better work. But right now, save a life, save a leg, save whatever you can. So we've been doing this for a long, long time. It's time now. We're going to be getting back into a lot of this stuff. And I do think this is the way it's going to change the world, but it's going to take a little time.
Yeah. And we also see a new airport in Ouagadougou, the capital, and that will be finished this year. It can handle 1 million or 2 million passengers per year, and he wants to. That is also in the making. He wants to have the best um, clinic for cardiology in the world. And I mean, even if it's the best in Africa, it's an accomplishment.
That's amazing. And what a beautiful goal. Because look at the problems right now we're having with heart problems due to, a toxin that a lot of people accidentally got, and now they're not feeling so well. And look at that. So there's a massive need for that. So bravo, bravo. I think that's fabulous. This is how I saw the bifurcation happening.
Okay.
This is what I saw. There would be pockets, and people would start doing things outside of the box. And normally it would have been completely shut down, but because there's so much chaos and so much need, they can't do it all at the same time. So these things start to get a foundation and start to get stronger, and then people realize, wait a minute, it's just like the roads. We could do this for 1/10 of what it costs them to do. And then they're going to still tax us later to build it after we already did the physical labor. We're the ones that had the jobs. And then people are going to realize how inefficient the people that we've let run things have been running things. And that is going to be the beginning of how it all falls apart. It's because of not doing a good job.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, okay. If you, I can already hear it. Yeah. Then when you suggest a patriotic year for every student, I can already. This is socialism. Yeah, and
It's not, because it's like an intern or an apprenticeship.
mhm.
You learn for 2 to 3 years, and then you actually get to work and you get to master the skill. It's more like an apprenticeship. That's not socialism, because you're not getting it for free. You're getting it on an energy exchange. There's
Yeah.
a very big difference with that.
Mm.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But things like compulsory patriotic gear for Western ears, that is always a little bit iffy. But if I look at the entire picture, I think that is a brilliant idea.
I do too. I really do. It's based on a lot of how the old guys here in where I live in the United States, this is how they used to train their lead guys. They say you're going to work for me for like scraps for the first 2 years, but then I'm going to bump you up to lead, and you're going to start teaching and running more crews and this and that. And then you're going to make a lot of money. But you have to wait, and you have to learn, and you have to prove that you're the one who can take on this position as a lead, because there's not many people that can teach and master a trade or a skill well enough to where they can instruct and teach others. So we do have some of those. They're very rare now. They used to be very common, but now it's rare. But I've seen a lot of people trade that train their foremans and trade these people on these skills and keep them by their side for the extent and length of their business. And then many of them go out and start their own companies after they've learned it well enough. But that's the thing. You give away the beginning very, very cheaply. So, you're not basically making anything. So you learn it. But then when you learn it, then they pay you to go and teach and instruct and lead. And so they can keep leading and doing, and it expands, it gets bigger. That's how we grow together. The masters teach, the students learn, they then become the master, and then they teach, and on it goes. But the exchange program works, and nobody goes into debt with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
also, I think I mean, you had it in your country as well, the DEI, or and it's all going into the wrong direction because if
You know what, Judith?
if a job needs to be done, then hire the best person for it.
You know what?
Yeah, and then yes, it doesn't matter if male, female, black, white, Asian, whatever.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
you know
we
what?
are light years away from that.
We are seeing a completely opposite flop on its head, utter stop to all of the nonsense.
Yeah.
All the way from Disney, Target, Walmart, Home Depot, every single one of them. Every year for the past few years, the whole month of June was our PRI Rainbow Month.
Mm.
And they didn't even do it this year. First time.
Yeah, good.
It's completely changing now. It's going to the like the opposite. Like they've lost so much business. Disney's in trouble. Everybody's in trouble. They're realizing that the people don't want this, and they're making very quick, fast adjustments. So I was really surprised to
Hmm.
see that. But this happened like just recently, and very noticeable since we just passed the month of June. So
Yeah,
and there's nothing there.
and especially, there are jobs, let's say a pilot. Yeah. I want a very good pilot in the cockpit. I do
Me
not
too.
want somebody that has the job, although he is not very qualified, just because of gender, skin color, or whatever.
Or politics.
Yeah.
Any of it. Any of it. No, it's not. It should have nothing to do with the belief system. It should have to do with the skill level, especially when you're in charge of up to 250 bodies on your aircraft. There should be a level of skill and competence that's mandatory when you are carrying around that many souls under your watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't care what belief, what sexual preference. Do you, boo? But just please be one of the top candidates if you're going to be flying around lots of other people under your care. You should be good at what you do.
Yeah,
Real good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what they try to implement there, a portion of the jobs has to go to women, the next portion has to go to this group, and it's all nonsense.
It is. And we've had the worst accidents with planes, the worst postal delivery I've ever seen. They started all the stuff with the post. I've never had late bills in my life because my post didn't get it there on time. This is a common occurrence now. I mean, we are seeing all of our structures, the ones that even worked, are starting to fall apart because of this. And it's evident. And but you know what though? Like I said, whatever, I guess, when the quarterly reports come in and they're like, we're all going to file bankruptcy, all of a sudden everything changed overnight. It was quite amazing.
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's completely like across the board now, Jordan. There's not, it's just like where to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is the language they understand. Money.
That's my point. And if we pull our energy from as much as we can and start to support our own local people for providing the same services, I think this is how we do it. And then when we stabilize, we'll be able to get this through the whole globe.
Hmm.
And everybody will have what they need. Nobody's going to have to fight to live in this country or that country because it won't matter. We'll all be supporting each other and loving each other and trading with each other just because, hey, you guys have better tomatoes, but we got better strawberries. That's going to be, we're doing it out of fun. And because certain things grow better at certain places and they can't do that. So that's wonderful to get things that you can't make on your own where you're at. This is this is the goal that we need to get to is like how we can fill this planet with all the beautiful natural treasures and gifts that it holds and share them freely with one another. It's not about, we got to get away from the profit because the profit has gotten so extreme. It's become profit over people.
Hmm.
And this is why we're in the mess that we're in now because a very few people have control of 98% of all the wealth in the world. Now, how does that seem rational?
Yeah. And I have to say, I'm silently optimistic.
I'm extremely optimistic because since I was little, remember I told you I was very spiritual and I heard all the time. I've known since I was little. I came here to graduate. Graduating is what we're doing right now, having a conversation outside of the box, not just following blind into the thing with the hook around your neck going to the slaughter cage. You know, you think outside the box. We came here to graduate. We came here to watch the shift of one of the greatest demolition derbies that we'd ever see upon the earth and witness the restructuring and the building back of that earth. And when the building back of that earth comes, we're going to be into the Aquarian age. And this is why they say you will walk with the angels. The angels might be the aliens, which means there's going to be a lot more ships flying around and probably meeting other beings and species. And I don't know that they're extra terrestrial other than they're from extra parts of this big earth I think that we exist on that might be much, much bigger than we've been allowed to know about. And the walls keep us within our specific territories. So I think there's going to be a lot to look forward to and a lot of change. And we're the densest humanity. We have the lowest vibration and the densest matter of almost everything else available. So with that, when we go up in vibration, it's going to feel a lot better and a lot lighter, and we're going to be not dealing with so much density to where that in itself would be feeling immensely like a graduation. So I've known since I was a kid we were going to witness these things, and I do think that we're going to. But every single time, we always win. And I really do think it's you win according to where you want to go. So a lot of people they come to watch the end of the world. They think that's the greatest experience they could do for their soul. They want to do that. People jump out of planes every day for fun. They want to. So everybody's going to do it different. I don't think it's going to look the same for anybody. But there's going to be a major, I think, when you see populations shifting around and certain people no longer being there and certain people making through it, those are when you're seeing people go to different timelines. And I don't even know that they're dying on that timeline that they go to. They just bounce from one into another and you wouldn't even know it.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you might die in this timeline, but you would be living on a timeline so identical to the one that you just left. It would be like waking up after sleeping at night, but that's the Mandela effect. I think that's why people feel that. We jumped. And there's little things that are different, but everything else is the same. But there's those little things that you're like, hold the phone. No, it wasn't magic mirror, it was mirror mirror. And
Yeah.
I'm like, brother, sister, you remember that? They're like, oh yeah, that ain't right. I'm like, okay, good. It ain't just me. But that those are the things. But most people, like you said, Judith, they're so into the tunnel, they don't even see that.
Yeah. Mirror,
They don't
mirror,
even see it.
all. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't even see it though. They
Yeah.
just don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to go a million ways. A good way to look at it is, what happens when you look into a kaleidoscope?
Mhm.
That's what I see. It's going to go into a million different fractal patterns and create new. But it was like that throwing the sun in a washing machine and hitting the spin cycle. But everything's going to go in its right place. And when that right place happens, we'll be experiencing it different ways because we'll be having certain people leave our reality because they're going to different timelines. You see
Mhm.
what I'm saying? But sometimes I saw too, they would still exist for a time and then they would go away more gently or slowly. It wouldn't be like a right now event, a shocker event. I saw this happening so many different ways, but I've always known that we won. I've
Mhm.
always known that. I've always known that. And I don't know how it looks so horrible. And I'm like, how is that even possible? But it's never changed.
Yeah. And I think right now all the energies are on go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I said, what we do with it, that is up to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you see, you will be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Trina, I thank you so much for coming and
Thank you.
was a great talk as usual. Yeah, guys, that was it. Night flight for today, and we see you on the next one.
Okay.